I'd like to call the meeting of the Smyth County Board of Supervisors to order. I'd like to welcome everyone that's here and those who are watching online. First of all, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance read by Manuel, or done by Manuel Street.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the prayer is going to be done by Kendra.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today and for the opportunity to gather together and work for your good. I ask that you guide and direct the hearts and minds of our county leaders and for protection for our citizens. Let us always remember that we are meant to be examples of your love and grace, and let our actions show that character. Be with us and always say and do. In your name we pray.
Amen. Just let her go ahead. As many of you probably know, we've started having some of our local ministerial association members come and give a devotional to the Board of Supervisors. And today we're honored to have with us Pastor Latera Turner, and she's with the it's Pastor Latera Turner Cross from Mount Zion Temple. And Pastor, if you'd like to come forward and welcome.
She told me you already guys just prayed. I was trying to find it. This is my first time here. I was like, I don't know where to go.
We can always use more.
You pray?
You can never have enough.
No.
We can use all we get.
Okay. Father, you are good and your mercy endures forever. This is the day that you've made. We rejoice. We're glad in it. Father, I thank you for, God, us tonight as we've gathered. I thank you, God, for the things that are going to be presented tonight. Father, I thank you that in every decision and everything that is brought up, you receive all the glory. I thank you, Father, for wisdom on what to do, how to do, and when to do. Father, I thank you for giving clarity. I thank you for a spirit of peace. I thank you for a spirit of unity. I thank you, God, that out of this meeting, something good is going to happen, and it's going to make your name great. In your precious, mighty, matchless, great name, Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the October 13th meeting. So we're open for any comments or corrections.
Move to approve, Madam Chairman.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? And abstain. And one abstention. So the motion passes. Next on the agenda is the financial status by Lisa Richardson.
Yes, Madam Chairman, you have there in front of you our monthly financial reports. And I'll just review these briefly. As in the past, the first one you have is the revenue summary. And we're going to go ahead and go to page 5, which lists page 6, which lists the total revenue received to date for November 12th, and that will be $28,580,000. That's the revenue received year to date. Then the next report you have there is the expenditure summary. And again, I ask that you just go out on to page 5, where we look at expenditures through November 12th year to date are $27,744,000. So we are trending. We are about $835,000 more revenue collected than expended so far this fiscal year. Your next page there is your October AP report. November of this year compared to November of last year. If you're interested in looking at that, there's about $1 million, $175,000 difference there. A lot of that can be accredited to CARES Act funding. Your next report is your deposits versus expenditures through the month of October in the previous year since 2013, 2014. If you're interested in that, if you have any questions on that report. The next page is the county expenses and appropriations. I did a comparison this time of October 2020 to October 2019. Mainly, if you look, they're about halfway down the page, the one that says subtotal. Our October ending balance is $8,673,000 compared to this time last year, it was $7,509,000. The next page breaks that down into more detail as far as spent and unspent appropriations, just comparison between the 2 years, this year versus last year, at the same time. The next page, we have our water, sewer, uncollected, and the county taxes. And then the following pages are your treasurer's accountability report that shows the balance as of the beginning of October compared to the end of October.
Are there any questions or discussions for Lisa? If not, Lisa, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the payment of invoices, which you have on your desk. The first item is under the general county fund, the total county appropriation $1,600,000. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Next is the appropriation for social services, $485,000.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Next is the school operating fund, $4,810,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
And I abstain.
Motion passes with one abstention. The next is the school debt and capital outlay, $1,135,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll have to abstain.
The motion approves with one abstention. Next is the town of Marion Fire and EMS, $7,136.22.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. The town of Chilhowee Fire Department, $7,136.22.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Next is the Saltwell Rescue Squad, $7,136.22.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. And next is the Sugar Grove Life Saving Crew, $7,136.22.
So moved.
Second. I have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes.
How come Salvo Fire Department is not part of this? I'm just curious.
These four funds are the state funds we get for EMS type, sort of,
Okay. Then,
EMS only.
Yeah.
and Marion was EMS and fire, and so was
So
Chilhowee.
it's your help, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Roscoe, thank you. I had the same question. So thank you for clarifying that. So we need a vote on the Sugar Grove Life Saving Crew.
I made a motion.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? The motion passes. Next is the EDA Fund 4, $65,600.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. The next is a CDBG Food Pantry Fund, $433,975.
Move to approve, Madam Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Do we need to do any explanation on that, Sean?
Yeah,
Some
I
people may
could
not
let you
know.
know that is a grant we got for the 4 food pantries in the county from the state. It's COVID-related money, but it goes toward buying the supplies for them. Each of them have seen some decreases in their donations, so they can use this. It'll probably last until, I expect spring or summer of next year. So, and also frees up their funds to be able to do other things, whether they need to do renovations or other upkeep.
Yeah, so that's a great resource for the community. Next is the Sheriff Department Fund, $746.
Motion approved.
Second.
It was $6,500. All in favor? Motion passes. Next is the Sheriff Department Fund 748 for $4,919.37.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. And finally is Recovery Court Fund 749 in the amount of $872.15.
So
So
moved.
moved.
And second.
All in favor? The motion passes. That completes the disbursements.
Sheriff's Department having cookouts with that money. I ain't been invited.
The sheriff can answer that. Okay, we're just a little early for citizens' time. But has anyone signed up, Christie?
I can be fast on billing grounds, maybe?
I think that clock's a little slow anyway.
I think it is.
Yeah. Nobody signed up. There's no one that signed up. Does anyone wish to speak? If not, we'll close citizens' time. Under old business, if there's Unity Day follow-up, I guess Mr. Utt's going to give an update on that.
Yes, ma'am. We have some folks that are coming to provide a bit of a additional presentation. If it's okay, I'd like to ask that this be skipped for now and maybe
Okay,
come back.
we'll come back to
If
it.
you don't mind.
Okay. Next is committee reports. And there was a Building and Grounds Committee meeting. Lori, are you the chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to give that report?
Sure thing. The Building and Grounds Committee met on Thursday, November the 5th. In attendance was myself and Mr. Ratliff, and staff members, Mr. Utt, Mr. Richardson, Mr. Williams, and Ms. Bice. We received bids for the Cornerstone Building. 2 bids came in for that. One was from Mount Rogers CSB in the amount of $128,000, and the other from Campbell Law Firm in the amount of $98,500. We discussed various options for the building, and unfortunately those proposals were a little bit under what we were hoping they would be. After much discussion, Park District Supervisor Chris Ratliff made a motion to transfer ownership of the Cornerstone Building to the Smyth County Economic Development Authority and direct them to put out an RFP for a realtor to sell the property at a negotiated minimum price with profits to be split 50-50 with the county. We made that motion on the basis of we feel like a realtor could get more money out of it than we could ask him for bids.
When I read this, that is kind of a prime piece of property.
It
I was
is.
surprised that came in so low. So surely a realtor will assess it more accurately.
And obviously with the EDA as our arm for property and those types of things.
Did you all feel that was kind of a little low?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I think we'd almost be better off to keep it than to sell it for that. So.
Right, and just as a reminder, I believe when this property was purchased for the purpose of putting in the parking garage, It was around $400,000 that was spent on the
Wow.
property, so we're trying to recoup as much of that
Yeah.
as possible. So, again, Mr. Ratliff made the motion, and I made a second, and that is a committee recommendation that we would like you all to consider.
Madam
Okay,
Chairman?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
So I understand, if we turn this over to the EDA, ARA Realtor, the decision to sell from that point on will be up to the EDA, or are we simply taking what we got, or where would it go from here?
We discussed a minimum amount that we would like to have that's obviously greater than this amount. And we also talked about if the EDA can't sell it within 12 months. I mean, we obviously don't give it to them just to sit on it or take a low bid. So we kind of discussed the...
So there is a minimum amount that they can take? Am I missing that figure?
No, that wasn't included in here. I believe we talked about a range of numbers, but
150, 175 at a minimum is what we threw out at the committee meeting. If you go in the house, the structure, I mean, to turn it back into a house, you're still going to invest a bit of money, but the bones of the building, it's 4,200 square foot building. It's a good bone, so I have no doubt 150 to 175 minimum
Yeah,
of a value plus whatever they have. to
really
invest.
commercial property right there across from the
Is that across,
courthouse.
is that, I was gonna say, is that across from the courthouse?
Yeah.
Okay, I know
I
that.
think we tried to sell this, Lisa, you helped me out on my memory. You remember what the appraisal was on it then? We had appraisal done?
I don't know, I don't recall it.
There should be a record somewhere.
There would be.
We had a
We
appraisal.
could have
and
bids before, but I don't remember.
Well, they come way in, the appraisal was reason it didn't go.
I just hate to see the county keep losing money. If we paid $400 and some thousand and then sell it for $150,
Yes.
that's not good math to me. So,
I don't see us getting 400 back out of it.
No,
I
but
think
still.
The purchase was almost a necessity to get the parking garage done, and we realized we didn't need that property
Right.
for the parking garage, but honestly and truly, I don't think we'll get it.
If the committee, is this $150,000, does it go along with this committee recommendation, or do we have a figure, or? The reason I'm asking is I hate to turn it over to anybody and we sell it for $90,000.
Right.
You know, yeah, I get, we ain't gonna get 400,000, but I'd rather at least have 150,000. So when you involve a realtor, you know, they're gonna get a cut. And I get you, the market, I get where the committee's coming from. My main concern is, where do we draw the line? I have no problem giving it to the EDA, I wanna help them all I can. But, and they may make a better decision on minimum price than we have, because they're business people, but I still like a minimum somewhere would make me feel better.
If you think of it, if you look at the bids that we got, go ahead and add that, I guess it's a 6% commission from the realtor, you're probably looking at no less than 150 to start with, and that just evens us out with the bids. So if we want to try and pull in 150, I would say the minimum would be 165 range, or 165, 175, whatever the board feels. But we did talk, when we were at the committee meeting, we talked about 150 to 175, but I don't know if an exact number came in.
so how are they going to decide on which realtor listed?
Gonna be RFP.
RFP.
RFP, okay, good.
I don't have
So,
a problem with the
yeah.
type of realtor, just making a comment.
Okay.
In the committee's recommendation, I would like to see a price that the board could feel good on, and
Well, I think we should wait. I would like to see a quote of the value from the realtor, who's a professional, wouldn't you?
yes, I would. And
Well,
also,
see.
I'd like for Lisa or Sean to go back and see what our last thing was. I know we done this
Yeah.
before a year ago,
Uh-huh.
am I correct?
We did, it went out for bid once before. I don't remember seeing an appraisal, but I can look. and
Well,
it should be here.
we paid somebody
To appraise it?
we actually put up 2 or 3 things for sale. I don't remember what the other 2 was, but this building was one of them. And we had them appraised so we could figure what the figure was.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember what that was. Again, on a recommendation, I'd like to see another, what the appraisal is on it, where we're at.
Today.
Right,
And,
to be able to make an informed
I don't have no
decision.
problem with the committee's recommendation other than that.
Okay.
But I would like to know what the appraisal was, and I would like to see a set amount. We're not gonna take any less than this, and we'll set on it.
Okay. Mr. Ratliff, do you want to amend your motion, or do we want to wait? What's the pleasure of the board?
I guess I'm a little hesitant to put a number on it, pin it down. I would rather let the realtor
Yes.
come up with a fair market value from their professional perspective. I don't want to undershoot or overshoot.
Right.
So I hear what Supervisor is referring to, but it's out of my realm.
Yeah.
That's not my area of expertise valuing property.
Yeah.
So I would defer to them.
Can I make a recommendation then? If there's at least some agreement, I don't necessarily need a vote, but an agreement on the board that the transition to the EDA is a good idea, we can at least go and figure out the process on the realtor before anything's signed, come back to the board and report on what that minimum is to make sure that you're comfortable on the transition, if that's suitable.
I'm good with that. I mean, if y'all don't mind, maybe they can research and see if you can find out what the last appraisal was. I know it's going to be a year or two ago away, but that gives us a base. I agree with Mr. Ratliff that real estate's not my profession either, but I don't lay my trust in some realtor teetotally. I want some say in it. So,
That was kind of the exact discussion we had in the meeting too, and that's
you
one of the
know.
reasons we went back and forth on including a number, because we didn't want to lock it in on that, but at the same time,
I'm good not locking it in, but I would like a little more information if y'all don't mind.
Sure.
If there's bound to be something somewhere or another on what the last appraisal was.
Also, don't we get all the buildings that the county owns appraised for insurance purposes? Of course, those may
Their
be low.
replacement value, that's
Yeah.
not necessarily sale
Not
value.
sale value, okay. So do we want to add this caveat from Mr. Stevenson to the motion?
Would we put a reserve amount yet to be determined?
Assessment's
Is that the language we could put in there? Transfer it to the EDA with the reserve amount to be determined.
I would be more inclined to vote with you if you just table it till we had more information till your next meeting.
We can
do that.
We can report back at the December 19th meeting.
Not a super rush, I don't think, but yeah.
Okay.
so do I.
So are we in agreement then to table this until
I am.
December?
I'm not trying to defeat your cause, I'm in agreement with you, I'd just like a little more information on it.
Okay.
I have no problem with building going to the EDA,
No.
but I like a figure somewhere or another, you know.
Sure.
I hate to say,
Your sales value's 218
I think that's what it,
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like 260 on the assessment.
for all of it.
Yeah.
and usually that's pretty conservative.
Yes.
And you know, most real estate I've ever bought, usually the assessed value is pretty close to what it's worth. And maybe by what he's pulled up there, that's a good job. I would think of starting out a figure selling that anyway. So I think when you get less than what your assessed value is, maybe we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
We've done it on a couple of things, and I don't think we need to continue that trend. So we don't need to vote on this, do we,
I
Sean?
think if you'd rather table it and we can
Yeah.
come back with some more information next week, that'd be fine.
Okay.
That may be the prudent thing to do, would be to table it, come back with more firm
Information.
parameters.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sean.
Maybe we could, if y'all feel good, we could direct Mr. Yutt to at least reach out to a real estater and see if they're interested in what they think the value they could get for us. If they say $100,000, then we don't need to be paying no realtor. So
Yeah.
that's just my opinion now.
No, I think that's a good one. All right, so we're going to direct Mr. Utt to get further information for the board, okay, and table it.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Lori, go ahead.
Sure. The next item that we discussed was the status of the Riverside Community Center, which is currently occupied by the Riverside Ruatan Club. The center has been used for a boating location in the past, but there have been accessibility issues. The county owns the building, and the Ruatan Club has been leasing the location, and that lease has expired. We had an in-depth discussion about the condition of the building, and the use of it for a voting location is just not going to work out in the future because of all the accessibility issues. So Park District Supervisor, Mr. Ratliff, made a motion to transfer ownership of the Riverside Community Center to the Riverside Rubatan Club. The county will notify the electoral board of the transfer of ownership, and I seconded that motion. And just to note there, the reason we would notify the electoral board is because they'll have to find a different voting location or determine what they're going to do.
So is the Rubatan Club amenable to taking over ownership of it?
I believe so. They really like that building.
Okay. And it is an old building and with a lot of repairs needed. Yeah.
It closed in '88, so the year that that school closed.
Fill me in on what they do there.
Rubatan,
Cookouts,
they've done
money
fundraisers
for
and
the community.
they've done, I know when I was head football coach, they would do like our banquets in the cafeteria there. They would cook the food and we would pay them. And then we would hold the banquet there. They do different events there, so.
That was one of the other buildings that we had up that I couldn't remember, and there was an appraisal on it, but I'm all for the Rubatan Club, and basically that dang old building's gonna fall down.
And we don't want to be responsible for it.
Whatever you can get
Right.
out of it.
Well, I think if it can be of use to them, that's a good community.
I was just going to expound, as a point of discussion we had was that the building is falling into disrepair.
Yes.
It
And
is.
part of the election issue was the parking for the ADA accessible parking was at farthest point from where the building they're using, because they had to go through a
Yeah, it's gravel.
non-cemented sidewalk, which is really not conducive for,
Right.
you know, restricted access.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably prudent to do this, take it
I
off the
agree.
books, get it out of a liability issue, and move on.
Yeah, thank you all for evaluating it. Okay, we have a recommendation from the committee. All in favor? Motion
This is
passes.
on the
unanimously.
Pacific building, right?
Just Riverside, yes.
Yes. Got my vote there.
Okay, Lori.
Thank you. The next item we discuss is the heating system for this building. A boiler RFP was done several years ago but has since expired. The previous RFP was very basic and did not include specifics for what was needed to properly heat the entire building. With the transfer of ownership of the building from the state to the county, water and steam was to be provided by the state for another 1 to 2 years before being turned off. At this time, the deed transfer has not been completed yet. We also had a discussion a little more in depth about properly heating the building. So even if we had a boiler right now, we hooked it up, it's not going to heat the entire building because of issues that exist there. So that previous RFP did not include fixing those issues to make sure the entire building was heated. So Park District Supervisor Chris Ratliff made a motion to hire a mechanical engineer to evaluate the heat needs for the building and develop the specifications to be put out for bid. That way we have a better idea of what we're voting, or we're doing. So then I seconded that motion, so that is a committee recommendation.
Okay.
And I have some additional information, if you don't mind. I've spoken with we have a couple different mechanical engineer on term contracts. And the price to basically go through the building and give us two options, at least two options, was the best price they got was $12,500. Basically what we did with the last RFP was, it was an RFP, we have 68,600 square feet, 4-floor building, come in and give me a price on putting a boiler in. They'll have to build a building, the whole nine. And that was it. It wasn't, we need a 2 million BTU building, boiler or whatever, actual specifics. So that's why the boiler bids came in so vast. They were, almost $600,000 difference between the bid prices. So I think we can go and get a better price, hopefully better options too, if we have someone to come in and give us some recommendations that know what they're looking at. That way we're comparing apples to apples.
This has been an albatross since I've been on the board, Mr. Ed, and probably those of you who've been on here. It's just not the heating, it's also the structure of the whole building. And I know before we had asked for maybe an evaluation of the building.
It's not good. I live it every day.
Yeah. So, is there any other comments? $12,500 just to evaluate the heating. Will we be able to continue to contract with the state for the heat?
We did get confirmation that they will extend the steam for 2 years after we close on the the deed, after we filed the deed. And that's still in the process of being put together, so we have a good amount of time before we do
Bill,
anything.
you and Roscoe have a lot more history with this building, too.
I'm sorry?
You've got more history on the
Well,
board.
you know, I get that there's some repairs that need to be made, and Mr. Yutt and I have had this conversation.
Okay.
And, you know, I've been into building and construction in many different ways. And, you know, the state has given us this building if we take it for $1.
Right.
$1. And if you will remind me, please, how many square feet's here?
I want to say just shy of 68,000 square feet.
68,000 square feet. When that guy does $12,000 assessment, ask him what it cost this county to build this size building. It's going to be multiple $1 million. And if we have to put a couple $100,000 in it, it's sure cheaper than 18 million, 20 million. How far off am I on what a building like this would cost?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's around $200 a square foot. I mean, every bit of it.
What's that come to?
13, 14 million.
So, you know, at a price on a building that needs a new boiler system, it may be $600,000. I don't know. I'm not in the boiler business. You may need to do some things to fix. Laura, you've worked here. You may need to do some things, but as long as right now the shape this county's in and where we are, we're talking about even if we spend $5 million on this building, we're talking about, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, I
that's
just can't
okay.
talk with this.
Yeah.
We're still talking about a $7 to $8 million savings.
Yeah.
I just see no argument in that
Yeah.
whatsoever. Now, I get that there are some employees that the heat maybe don't get your room as toasty as they like. I get all that, and I sympathize, and I don't like the $12,000, but if that's what the guy gets to make it right, then I'm for it. But I don't think you turn your head on something this size of building when somebody gives it to you for $1. Hey, it's $1. A year from now, if you don't like it, sell it for $1 million.
Of course, yeah.
Well, and that's,
Well, I agree, we definitely don't want to turn the building down. It's just, it would be nice to know overall, you know, what we could do but the 12,000 is the issue we're looking at now, so.
I don't think we're in the shape to build a $12 million building.
No.
Now, you know, it needs new heat. It's plain and simple, no argument. And we may have to come up with $600,000. But if we do, we have to come up with it. But, you know, I don't know, the elevator still works good. I think somebody got stuck in it one time. But, you know, right now, we need to accept this and move on and repair it and try to make a few years out of it until we have no idea where this economy's going to be in one more year.
That's exactly right.
No matter what politics are, it's changing. And usually the economy changes. Hopefully you're better. But it's a bad, bad time not to be moving forward with the state on this building and making repairs.
Okay.
that's what we wanted to make sure that we take this extra step, because we don't want to just go out and buy something, plug it in, and then it not work, because then we're wasting our money.
Yeah.
We have to go back and spend even more money, so doing this, I believe, it's a little
You
bit
got
more
my vote
vigilant
on
to make
that.
sure.
But I don't want to turn this building down, and
Oh, no.
Sure, yeah.
you know.
No, we definitely don't want to do that. So, Dr. Ratliff, did you have anything to add?
The only thing would be another piece of information that came out during the discussion was that even if we plug in a boiler and it works, there's still going to be vacancies of not heating. And the comment was made that there are some rooms that are HVAC right now that have no heat to them. We just put a heat source and close that gap to get as close to 100% heating as possible. So I think the engineer will show us where we need to reach and what we need to cover and give us a basic blueprint of the various vendors to say this is what we can do the job for
Okay.
and compare, a true comparison.
That sounds like a good start.
So yes.
I agree with you that the bids was all over the place because there was no specific way to bid it. I had several comments from the people who did bid it. And, you know, I'm not going to say it's worth $12,000, but that's what they get, and that's what we got to have. But maybe next time we can get a bid where people can, it will be a lot closer. When there's $100,000 difference between any bid, something ain't right.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will remedy that moving forward.
I agree.
Mike, did you have something?
And I'm gonna say this, having, and working on the third floor, that in the wintertime, this end of the building and that end of the building are probably 20 degrees difference. And, it'll be so hot on that end, you can't work, and then on that end, the people are freezing to death. I mean, it's just, it's a dinosaur. And I was gonna say, and I agree that we've gotta be very frugal in our funds, but I also would like for Mr.Ett to be able to explore options to see if we do have, there could be some things out in the community that would be more functional, because this building struggles with functionality as far as storage, things like that we need for the county. So if there's a way of being more efficient that we can afford, I would certainly like to pursue that avenue if it's a possibility. So as and there might be places that things have shut down or whatever that we can make some adjustments.
Did I hear too that on one of the floors it couldn't hold the weight of the textbooks?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't hear what you said.
I think I had heard that on one of the floors, maybe it's where the fourth floor.
We've had to move everything to the ground floor.
Yeah, because structurally. But anyway, I guess the thing before us right now is this evaluation by a mechanical engineer.
Yep.
It's a committee recommendation. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes.
Great, and then the last item that we discussed was some empty space at the courthouse beside General District Court that could be used for the Southwest Virginia Community Corrections offices. Just for everyone's knowledge here, that every county in the region provides space for this group. So Smyth County did want to do that as well. There is some funds that are remaining in the courthouse bond that need to be utilized, and those funds can be applied toward the renovation cost for the offices for Southwest Virginia Community Corrections, along with the replacement cost of a sewer pipe that is overdue for being fixed. So Chris Ratliff made the motion to utilize the remaining courthouse bond funds to do necessary renovations to house the community corrections offices and complete the sewer line repairs, and I seconded that motion, and that is a committee recommendation.
How much is in funds?
We have about $186,000 left. I would guesstimate we'll probably spend $80,000 to $90,000 on the renovations, but I have no idea what the sewer line's going to cost.
Madam Chairman, I'm a little slow, and I hate to keep asking questions, because I know y'all's
That's what you're
meetings
here
have been
for.
a lot quicker when I'm not here. That come in under what? That building was estimated at what, 23 million, and they done it for what?
We saved, I think they saved over $1 million.
So we're not talking about adding all those funds back, we're talking about some other funds.
This is the money that we saved, that we actually drew down, that's been sitting in a bank account.
That we've been paying on.
We've been paying on
All right,
interest.
good enough, all I need to know.
It needs to be used, so
And
Okay.
basically, I need to spend the money so I can close out the bond.
Okay.
it's not new money, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a committee recommendation. All in favor? Any opposed? It passes unanimously.
Great, thank
Do
you.
we want to go back to our regular agenda now? Mr. Ott, do you want to?
Yes, ma'am. So if we go back to the item under old business, the Unity Day follow-up, you'll remember for 2 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago, all the board members received an email from Mr. Herbert Clay asking for the designation of a Unity Day. I was directed to go back and talk to Mr. Clay and try and figure out, what does he really mean? What can we build on? This is kind of evolved. At the same time, there's a group, JEPC, that has approached not only the town of Marion, but City of Bristol. Of course, I expect they'll be approaching other elected bodies to at least start the process of for anti-racism, anti-hate, to try and start pulling some people back together. We have some folks here tonight that would like to speak more to it. What you do have in your packet are 2 draft resolutions, one from the town of Marion that they passed recently, and one from the City of Bristol. I don't have any action requested tonight, but I do expect that we can have maybe some good dialogue after they provide their input. Yes.
We did do the budget committee report. So you're all the committees. Sure.
I'm going to give you all some information, just a quick little. This is just information on our website with JEPC, which we're a nonprofit organization, and has our mission statement on it that you guys can read. I'm going to pull this down if that's okay, because I feel like I'm smothering in here. Y'all got it so warm. We initially have worked, just to give a little background, in Marion with Mr. Clay when he presented the Unity Day at the Town Council. And at first, we were in opposition of it being passed without the town or anybody in Smyth County recognizing the issue of racism. So in conversations with Mr. Clay, we did come up with our goal. One of the goals that we had with JEPC anyway was to dismantle racism in Southwest Virginia. So in the talks with that, we did work with Marion, the town officials, and education, and come to an agreement. But one of the, I'll just give you a little background with, the goal is for all people of color to feel safe, included, and equal in their community in all facets. We just feel like there has been, with everything that has went on with Marion, our issue, which racism exists in all areas. It's an uncomfortable conversation. I had a whole script, but I'm just going to talk because I've talked about it so much. But it is something that we need to address in Southwest Virginia. The issues that I've seen in a lot of conversations, even with from Trayvon, and I even was talking with the assistant to Senator Kane today, and conversations with Delegate Wampler, that in Southwest Virginia especially, I think there is the perception that racism is more prevalent. I do see more resistance. I'm obviously white, I have racist family members, but overall it's just an uncomfortable conversation that some of us are just raised that it's just normal, and until we're affected by it, we don't really do anything to act on it. The reason that we have the goal with dismantling racism, legislation is one of the things that we want to do, legislative change. So dismantling racism, we're starting from the ground up, from local level, to we want it to be presented in the House to denounce racism, because it's a building block to be able to spread that message. One of the things that Delegate Wampler said was, well, we can't change hearts. Well, we can't change hearts, but leaders can be leaders and people will follow their lead. And I think we've come to a time where a lot of people in this area and all over the country, different areas, have felt a little more comfortable to express racism, and that it's a time that we need. I think the moment for me, I've always felt very, I guess, an advocate against racism, but the moment, I think, with the George Floyd death definitely was a pivotal change in this country, because I think we all were on pause. But I think it's definitely a time that we need to address the issue, and we want to be able to have leaders in this area to set the example. And then from that example, once they've denounced racism, to be able to build on that with committees or different projects throughout the community, to be able just to educate, if there's education needed, to be available for the school systems, housing, or whatever area within the towns. But just be able, first of all, to either to set the standard, are you a racist community or are you not? The thing with Marion we talked about, my thing with them was, was under a microscope with all of, that happened with the stuff in Marion, and that it's time to either make that declaration. But we present it to Bristol, they have signed it, and then the town of Marion has signed it, and then you guys had reached out to us to also discuss it, and then we are presenting this within the House of Delegates, and then hopefully within the Senate in some form. We plan to meet with Senator Kane. So I will let Trayvon go ahead and speak before I'm burning up in here, and talk a little bit more about it. And we have other information that we can provide to you guys and have conversations individually, is what we did with the town of Bristol and Marion. And I don't think there's anything else. but I'll let them go.
I'm
Misty.
sorry, what is your name?
Misty Russell, I'm so sorry.
Misty, thank you.
Oh,
That
you're
was very
welcome.
well presented, thank you so much. And Trayvon, welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Trayvon L. Brown, and I'm the chairman of Justice, Equality, Peace, and Change. Misty just told you guys about the resolution that we would like to present before you. I think there is a very critical time. Racism is a topic, politics are a topic, LGBTQIA people, they're a topic, and I think this isn't a Republican versus Democrat kind of issue. This isn't a his or her, or we're circling you guys out. It's everybody against racism and discrimination, basically. And I think this would be a good step towards unity for our community. The town of Marion, Virginia, I think they are the first people to adopt a resolution in this sort. Then we went to Bristol. I'm talking to Tazewell right now, in Aberdeen. And I've also been having conversations with Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, and I would love to be able to go to them and say not only did our town do this, but our county did this, and we're making progression towards the goal of unity and towards bettering our community in the county. I feel like life, liberty, and justice, not everybody has that, and not everybody feels comfortable in this certain day and time. I know as an African-American young man, my little sister, she went up to the grocery store and she texted me, and she said she was scared. And I said, why are you scared? And she said, a man asked me, was I your sister? And I told him, yeah, and he showed me his gun. So right then and there, he was sending a threat that, hey, I know you, I know your family, I don't like what you guys are doing. I get all kind of nasty looks, but I don't care. Point is, we're trying to build unity. I think that this resolution right here would be a good thing for the county. So yeah, anything else? You guys would like to ask any questions?
Members of the board?
I would like to see your pamphlet include one more thing on it. And I'm not a racist.
Oh, no.
Some of my best friends, one of my best friends, is someone of color. One of my best friends, that Chip can tell you, and worked with the sheriff's department, had color. I am not a racist. Here's where I have a problem with your pamphlet, and I think this is very evident in our society. And you know, you have on your pamphlet, you have ensuring African Americans, people of color, women and children, all good things. I think it ought to include white people too.
Yes, sir.
Because I think they get racism sometimes, and I don't doubt you a bit what you said about your sister. That's a bad deal. I don't go for it.
Yes, sir.
I think sometimes white people get discriminated against for whatever reason. Maybe the same reason that these people do.
Yes,
because
sir.
we don't know. So
Yes, sir. And it's all about educating each other and searching stuff about topics about this stuff, so you can try to understand where we're coming from.
I do understand you, but
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like to see your pamphlet have white people on it.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I think they get discriminated against too. And I think black people do in certain instances, and women do, most certainly. But I think it's, you know, if we're going to unionize it, if we're going to make it unity, and let's put everybody on.
Let's put everybody. I got you. And this is what this resolution is. It's for everyone. I'm not trying to single anybody else. We want this to be for everybody. We want this to be for white people, black people, indigenous people, immigrants, everyone, because these are the people that are being talked about today. And I feel like with this political divide that we are having in our nation, this will make some of the people of color feel comfortable, as well as white people, as well as LGBTQIA plus members. This will make everybody, I think, feel a little more comfortable.
I'm all for your unity, and I want it to work. I want everybody in this world to get along, but I am not for violence, no matter what color it
No,
is.
sir.
I will never be for it.
Never support
I'm
violence.
against it, and you know, it's just the wrong way to do things. And I'm not saying black people do it, white people, that we all do.
We all do.
It's a wrong way. It's a wrong way to protest. It's a wrong way to solve anything. But I'm all for what you're doing tonight, if it includes everybody. And we realize that everybody gets mistreated in a wrong way sometime, no, then we're working towards the future. And if you're going to blame one section of the community, whether it be the police, the government, or whoever. There's nobody perfect. We can't punish the good people for the bad people. And I'm going back to instances, several things that's happened in the life, that your race, my race, we get the blame for it because a few bad people done the wrong thing. And that's where I draw the line. I'm not for them bad people. I'm for the good.
Okay. Understand
what I'm saying?
I do. Thank you for your criticism.
But, you know, if you change your pamphlet, you might have a little more support out of me.
I got you. We will definitely look into that. Thank you guys for hearing me, being receptive and proactive at this time.
I'd like to offer a comment too, if I may. I think I understand where you're coming from and the purpose of this, and I certainly welcome Supervisor Stevenson's comments there, but I would like to add on to it. True meaningful change is slow. If it's quick, it won't last. So my comment would be, slow and steady wins the race. Just keep constantly, don't give up. It's going to it will be tough, but somewhere down the way you'll look back and say, okay, we made a lot of change. It took a while. We didn't feel the change because it was such a slow onset, but keep fighting the fight. Proverbially fight, you know what I mean? Would just be, slow, meaningful change is permanent change.
Yes.
Quick mutation doesn't last. Okay? And we've got hundreds of years of not doing right by multiple cultures throughout the country and the world. So I, for one, am trying to do better. I'm an imperfect individual. I'm not perfect, anything but one of them, and I certainly wasn't him. So I personally am trying to be questioning my actions as to what the motivation is behind things.
Okay.
For the right reasons, of course. So that's all I have to say is just be patient.
Yes, sir.
Keep working, but be patient. Understand you're going to gain it slowly.
Also,
Trayvon, did you run track?
Yes, I did run track. I ran it in middle school and high school.
Who'd you run track for?
Marion Senior High School.
You was very, very good.
Marion Middle. Thank you.
I remember you.
Thank you.
How old are you?
I'm 18 years old. Just turned 18 November the 7th.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Well, you was a good track man. Did you follow it on any, or did you? Did you quit track after high school, or?
Coronavirus has slowed everything down, and it's just like we haven't did it anymore. But I tried to play it in high school. I did it so far, and then now we're here.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I also feel like representation matters, and with the town doing it and the county not doing it, if I go to Michael Warner, and I talk to him, I think that he would love to hear that the county and the town did it. And like I said, I'm not circling you guys out. I'm going everywhere. I'm talking to everybody. I'm open to all kind of questions and critiques.
Madam Chairman, if you don't mind if I make a comment, anytime somebody can sit down and have a conversation, even if they're tough, I always respect that. So I certainly am thankful for different viewpoints, and it helps me understand better. So I just want to, commend this group, all of you, for being here tonight, for bringing forth the tough topics to discuss. And as far as I'm concerned, heaven's going to be full of all kinds of different people, and we got to love each other here too, because we're going to love each other there. So I feel like the town of Marion has passed this resolution. I feel like that is inclusive, and if we have to change some verbiage to incorporate some different verbiage there, I think that's okay. But I certainly want Smyth County to be a welcoming community, particularly when we're looking for people to move here and live here and have a family here.
Economic development.
Absolutely, I think that's certainly important. So thank you for
Thank you guys for being receptive and proactive. I hope you have a wonderful blessed
Trayvon,
night.
thank you. I appreciate all the work that Herbert Clay has done with this also.
Yes.
I've lived here all my life. It's a community that I think that those of us who have been here or have moved here do take pride in, and one of my best friends I grew up with is of color, and I treasure her friendship dearly. So I think that you're going to see this board is very receptive to that desire to have unity and to support each other.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
One thing I forgot to say when I was talking about respecting each other's opinion, I think that's really important too, because regardless of what's going on nationwide, I want to make sure that in our community that we have respect for each other.
Yes. Hopefully we'll be able to have a roundtable with key members from our community. I want to have a Republican, a Democrat, a black person, a white person, a Mexican, and we just get together at a round table and just talk about problems that we are facing and try to understand each other.
I think Dr. Ratliff had mentioned that to me, I know personally,
Yes,
that that's something you really
I
greatly
actually sat
desire.
down with a gentleman and had a pretty eye-opening conversation. It opened my eyes as to the perspective of his community and what they perceived their opportunities were, and it didn't match what I thought their opportunities were. So it was very eye-opening to me. That's why I said I'm questioning some of my thought processes myself.
Yes, sir.
And I'm still trying to figure out how to circle back and fix some of the problems, but I'm only one person, and so it's still here working. I just haven't figured out how to execute it yet, but
Sir.
he got to me. So
Sounds
I'm
good.
listening to him. I just haven't figured out what to do with it.
I can feel that. I feel
Yeah.
that. Well, thank you guys. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trayvon. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Sandra Thompson. I'm not officially part of JPC. I have Grassroots Coalition of Southwest Virginia. I just wanted to step forward and maybe give you guys a little bit of understanding of where he's coming from and where I think he's coming from and where myself as a black woman is coming from. A lot of people want to come to me and say, Black Lives Matter. I get it, I understand it, but all lives matter. And I just want to clarify that all lives do matter. Everyone, every individual matters because we have to make the community grow ourselves. But when we say Black Lives Matter because they haven't mattered for so long. Nobody, Black people have been oppressed for years and generations and hundreds of years. 400 years later, we're here standing in front of a committee asking for equality still. I think that it's time for a change. I think it's time to be progressive. I think it's time for us to say we denounce racism. It should not be that hard to say I'm not a racist. It shouldn't be that hard to lead your community to saying we don't allow any of that to happen in our area. I didn't come and plan to say anything. I just felt moved by this whole thing. Like, it's still oblivious to some people that racism exists so close to home. And if you lived in the time of segregation, you knew racism. If you lived during the time of the Charlottesville craziness that happened and the lady was hit by a car, you know racism still exists. So we can't deny it. I think right now we're at the point to where we are on that slow-moving train, as you were saying. But we're at the point to where it's time for everybody to stand up and say, let's make that change. I think what the town is doing is beautiful, and I think you guys, the Unity Day is a great idea, and that's all inclusive. That includes, like you were saying, the white people as well. But I think it's time to finally say, yeah, we do see the racism. We do see that Black people had the smaller stick, as you would say. That's all I have to say. But thank you for your time.
Very well
Thank you.
said. Thank you
Yes,
so
well said.
much. Yes.
I'm on duty, so I'm going to jump in line. And
Welcome.
thank you for letting us be here. And like I said, I'm on duty, so I don't mean to rush, but I got to get out here. One of the things, and I think Judy and Lori have kind of spoke directly, and I just kind of want to give a little background. One of the things, actually this started, as far as my part, with Avery Cornett. We were kindly, well, more than kindly, we were really disappointed. And when I say that, I'm not going to say about anything locally. We were disappointed as what was going on nationwide. We talked Facebook, and we really were just, really just sad what was going on. Not just Blue Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, of course for me it's Red Lives Matter, but just everything. So we got talking, and Larry just happened to say over Facebook Messenger, I want to do something, and I said, Avery, whatever you want to do, I'll be right there behind you. Then happen to mention, well, Avery, you're on the town council, why don't you bring something in front of the council to do a Unity Day? And the Unity Day has migrated into what we're discussing here, which is a good thing. The Unity Day was set up in our minds to bring everybody in, to sit down and I'll say this, under God, to allow people just kind of vent in a peaceful, organized way. And I didn't hear all what you were saying, but our thing was, it had no racial undertones whatsoever. And like I said, it has, rightfully so, and of good point, migrated to include the racial part of it and the humanity part of it. And when I was talking to the town council and brought it in front of them, I said this: we're not asking any more from you guys other than this, to reaffirm, and I'm not sure what line is in, but the top 3 lines of the Declaration of Independence, to stand up and say, ladies and gentlemen, we, the Board of Supervisors, reaffirm that all men are created equal.
Yes.
I said that to paper, and Stephanie added women, so I had women. I didn't mean to leave anybody out, just repeating what the Declaration, that's all of us are talking about.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You guys are standing up as the leaders of Smyth County to say, we firmly believe that all men are created equal. By doing so, we not only will stand up and say it, but we have the gonads to put our signature, just like they did on the Declaration of Independence, just like they did on the Constitution. That's what you guys are doing. No more. You're not putting money, you're not building a building, you're just putting your name on a piece of document that's going to sit in the archives, so when somebody comes for 50 or 60 years, they'll see that the Board of Supervisors in the unforsakable year of 2020 did something magnificent.
I emphatically agree with that.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we talked and, about different things, and the Unity Day, what started this, I still firmly believe that could be the day that memorializes what you, the town, have done to reaffirm what the Declaration of Independence did. And we got to remember, the Declaration of Independence is homegrown. It didn't come from Massachusetts. It didn't come from New York. Certainly didn't come from California. It came from Virginia. So you guys are upholding your heritage. And that's what we're asking. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you, and I got to go.
Thank you.
Any questions, real? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Meadows. I live here in Marion, and I am a part of JEPC. I'm one of the
Welcome,
co-founders. Thank you. I'm here to speak as a member of JEPC, but also as a community member. First, I would like to start off by just letting you know that my husband was racist. He was homophobic and racist. And I'm so proud of him that I'll tell you his name. His name is Alexander Meadows. He don't even know why he was. I wish he was here now so he could talk to you, but he got in fights. He always had nasty things to say to people of color. It was pretty bad. Everybody knew him as a fighter and a racist. And when we got together, we've been together for 10 years. I have gay family members. So he met them, and he fell in love with them. And he realized that his vision was incorrect, just his whole thought process. And then, I grew up here in Marion on Orange Street. So I grew up with Greg Stanback, and, a lot of awesome people, and,
Bucky.
yeah. So, I've never been racist. I was never raised racist. But I grew up here, and one thing that, and y'all may or may not have, but just about every place I've worked, you've heard a racist joke. You have. It just, it was normal, somebody has told a racist joke. I know you've all heard them. So that's a problem. Then, racism is here. Because growing up, you get asked out on, a date, somebody lets you know they're interested, and then they say, oh, but if you've ever dated a black man, I'm not going out with you. That has been said to me. So, it was known that I hung out and was friends with everyone of every color. So, that was a comment that I've heard many, many times when I was single. So, it is here. We got death threats on Facebook. Nothing we have done has been, we haven't done any damage, we haven't been aggressive, we haven't done, everything that we've done has been out of love. We did do 2 marches, but nobody looted, nobody rioted, nobody was, we were just trying to bring attention to the matter, okay? And we were getting death threats on Facebook. We still went through with it.
Did social media not remove that type of thing?
Not a whole lot. Did y'all?
Wow.
Some of them were inbox messages. We still get them from Castle or wherever. A lot
Wow.
of Smyth County people,
Mhm.
mostly white males.
Oh, that's
They mostly
unfortunate.
listen to all of those.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was scary.
Yeah.
It was very scary, not knowing what was going to happen that second March. But we went through with it. We did everything we planned. So basically, we know it's here. We know it's here. We know that not everybody's going to change their minds. We're not going to be able to get in everyone's hearts. But it does happen. My husband is proof. My husband is proof. And so I have seen,
right?
he loves Trayvon to death, but anybody. He's met some other people that I grew up with, and and he's receptive. He gets along with everybody. The marches, and he's changed,
Yeah.
and I'm proud to say that. So I know it happens. I know it can happen. And we don't plan on making changes right away, but the first step is just letting everyone know we denounce racism. You're either for it or you're against it. There's no gray area. It's black or white. You're either for it or you're against it. So, and then all we're asking is just everybody denounce it. And we won't be putting white people in our, and only because I'm a white person, okay? This isn't about me. If you're gay, transgender, you're included, no matter what color. This is for the indigenous. This is for the black. This is for the women. This is for everybody. But we may have experienced something at one point in time, but it's not because of our skin color. There is white privilege, and I'd be more than welcome to talk to you. We do Zooms, we do meetings, to answer any questions, to have any type of discussion with anybody. But white privilege is not, I've struggled. Right now living paycheck to paycheck, but yet I have white privilege because I've never been attacked for the color of my skin. I hear blonde jokes all the time. I can go dye my hair, and it doesn't involve me anymore. They can't change the color of their skin. I can't change that. I'm a woman, and, I'm still fighting for equal pay and, things like that. So I'm sorry we won't be including white people, but we want the unity with everyone. White people are not included. It's just this movement is for the people that are fighting for inclusion because the color of their skin, because who they love, and women. So it's not that we have anything against white people, trust me. I mean, I'm very much for this movement. But yeah, if you have any questions, if any of you would like to have any type of discussion, again, we do Zooms. We'll be happy to meet with anybody to answer any questions, okay?
Thank you.
Ms. Meadows, thank you. I think this is where it begins, is to have a dialogue and communication.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'll say one more thing.
Sure.
I would like to just say, let's uphold the integrity of our county. Let's uphold the integrity of our people. Let's not put the Band-Aid on the problem anymore, and let's face the problem so that we all can get better with the problem and that we all may feel like we're being included. Like Sabrina told you, her husband was racist. She tells me the story, he'll tell me the story. But it's a beautiful thing to hear how he has changed his life around and how he's not only supporting white people, black people, Mexicans, but he's supporting everybody. So my final thought to leave with you is just let's uphold the integrity of our county, of our town, of our nation.
Thank you, Trayvon. Mr. Utt, do you have anything to address as far as these recommendations of the resolutions?
I guess what I'd be looking for from you or from the board, I can take what was said on both sides of the dais here and come up with a draft resolution that you could consider at the December meeting if that's what you'd like to do.
Absolutely.
I think we're in agreement with that.
Yeah, I think it's...
Yeah,
Yep.
I think unanimously we are.
Yes.
And we can see, you all kind of got the version after we presented to Bristol and Marion, what you sent, not our original version, and the thoughts behind it, and we can also, if I send that to you.
You have it, but you can't, yeah.
But we can send it to you guys, kind of what we initially presented and the thoughts more of it behind it, so we kind of probably got it a little bit ahead with you guys from being from the very start to understand the process and the thought. A little more thought, a little more, to have behind it, so you can come up more with your own.
Yeah, well, I can assure you, this is a board that very much wants to see unity in our community and to support the concerns and to be aware of them and to work towards resolving them. So I know you have our commitment on that. And Mr. Wright will work on this.
I'm sorry, we have a plan of action that we can send some ideas that the communities can do and implement, with committees or different things that we do with the town council.
Okay. So Mr. Utt will interface initially and then bring something back to the board. Thank you all so much. It's been very informative.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Committee reports continue.
I think we kept the ladies in the blue jean. What's her name again?
Right.
First lady?
Mr. Russell?
Sabrina Meadows.
Meadows.
Sabrina Meadows.
The last one that's
Meadows.
first, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, Sabrina Meadows.
Okay, we'll continue on with committee reports. And it looks like Roy is the lucky person to get to do all this tonight.
I spent the whole day here on November 5th.
So Public Safety Committee.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. The Public Safety Committee held a meeting on Thursday, November the 5th. The first item that we discussed is concerning our current radio system. And this is basically just for information only, but just something that we need to keep on our radar that's going to be upcoming as an expense. We currently use the VHF system, which is aging out. UHF provides in-building coverage, has a broader range than VHF. So what we're going to be doing is looking at what better serves this community. I know the sheriff and the deputy that's in here can probably attest to the fact that there's certain areas in the county where if you call out for help, nobody can hear you. And that's certainly a situation that we don't want anybody serving public safety to be in. So we're going to be looking at that for the upcoming budget cycle and decide what options that are available to be considered. So just wanted to plant that seed with this board.
Good.
The next item we discussed is COVID-related purchases. The SCBA gear has been purchased and distributed equally to all of the agencies, and a new ambulance will be delivered soon with a lease agreement, a driving policy, and expectations of what the agency will provide to the county. That's going to be developed and presented to at the December Board of Supervisors meeting. We also discussed future emergency vehicle rotation, insurance, maintenance, and billing options. So basically what we want to do is, there's obviously a standard out there that we have to meet for emergency services. So, and I'm not pointing anybody out, this is just an example, but if Judy were the service provider for a certain district and she was only answering her calls 6% of the time, Judy's not going to get a new ambulance just because it's her turn. So that's why we want to set an agreement in place of what those expectations are for each agency. So, and that's going to be developed and presented to this whole board. So that'll be coming up in December. Well, we also talked about billing options. There's some agencies that are not doing billing at all. There's some agencies doing soft billing. There's some agencies doing hard billing. So what we want to do is see how we can come together at a county level and maybe take that billing option under the county as an umbrella to help all the agencies where they can have access to that billing opportunity. A motion was made by Chilhowie District Supervisor Mike Sturgill for the Board of Supervisors to send a letter of support to each of the fire departments. That motion was seconded by Supervisor Ratliff. The reason that we did that, there was some confusion and some concern when a report was posted in the newspaper, and when there was also some conversations going on in the community with the former plan that was presented to us. I think a lot of the fire departments felt like they were going to be shut down, and that, unfortunately, that message got out to them, and there was a lot of fear out there. So we made a motion to send out a letter of support saying that that's not our intention. We're not looking to shut down the fire departments. What we are focused on is the, I guess I could say, the rescue side of it, not the fire side of it. That's what we're working to solve right now, but the fire departments itself are not issues. So I believe it's a copy of that.
No, but I have a draft that
Okay.
can be presented at the next week's meeting if that's fine.
Okay, so this is a committee recommendation.
Yes.
Any discussion on it? If not, all in favor? Any opposed?
I was for. I voted for.
For, okay, so it's unanimous.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
The next thing that was discussed was a presentation by Mr. Curtis Crawford with the data related to call rates and response times for various agencies throughout the county. Obviously, the three of us on this committee want to be knowledgeable about what we're looking at. We're not just going to sit in the room and randomly make decisions. So Mr. Crawford, at each of our meetings, is presenting the data so that we can have a real look of response times and call volume and different things like that. So that was very helpful. The next item that was discussed was the local emergency management performance grant. And I do want to give kudos to Mr. Crawford. He was only employed here for a month and already got us the grant, which is great. These grant funds will be used to improve communication, develop an outreach plan, build partnerships, training, infrastructure, and for the purchase of COVID-19 related supplies. And this is a match grant, so the grant is $49,804, and then the county would have to match that $49,804, which would come from CARES Act funding. So this is not county funds, this is through the CARES Act.
What, I know we're talking about, we're all over the country, we're seeing these numbers of COVID. So in your meeting, is there any update as far as how Smyth County is standing as we, like historically over the last few weeks and months?
We do not specifically discuss that, but based on the emails that we are receiving
Daily.
for daily, I do know in the last couple of weeks we've seen a major increase in the number of cases, the positive cases.
It looked like sometimes when I was analyzing, like maybe 10 or so a day, is that right? Or
One
more?
day we experienced 27
Yes.
on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So those numbers are alarming for sure.
Are those concentrated in any certain area, Mr. Udd?
It depends, honestly. One of the spikes was, of course, related to the nursing home in Chilhowie. We've had a couple family gatherings that have resulted in some high numbers according to the health department. I think we're fortunate that it's not in the school system as heavily as we feared. But a lot of it is, well, I would say a good portion would be our proximity to Tennessee. Tennessee's wide open.
Yes.
If you look at numbers, there's probably between Washington County and I'm sorry, the next county south, about close to 10,000 cases. And now there's probably 100,000 people or more in those two counties, but it's pretty.
But we travel back and forth to those areas a lot, don't we?
That can affect.
Yeah, Sullivan County. Yeah. So anyway, we're seeing that trend just escalate all over the country and even world. So I noticed, we had some increase, but I didn't know if it was localized more in one area or whatever. But so we just continue to be prudent.
Yes.
Right, absolutely. The next item we discussed was a review for the mass notification systems that could be purchased as part of the LEMPG grant to improve notifications throughout the county. We also discussed using social media to increase the outreach. The Smyth County Public Safety does have a Facebook page, so anyone who would like to keep up with the COVID numbers or any type of emergency situation, certainly follow that page. I know this morning with a lot of the flooding in the county, there were some things posted on there for alerts for traffic. And then the last item we discussed was the type of information and data that we want to see in the future. Again, this goes back to my comment earlier where we want to see specific data on call times and call volume and response times so we can make the appropriate decisions moving forward. And this group is meeting on a monthly basis. We're typically meeting the first Thursday of the month at 11 o'clock in this room, so if anybody would like to join in on those meetings, we welcome that.
Did you have something, Mike?
No.
Okay. You're on that committee too, so. Okay.
Very productive.
Does that make that complete?
Yes, that is from the Public Safety Committee.
Well, and this is Lori Smyth for committee reports. Normally Charlie Atkins is the chairman of the Budget Committee and he is absent due to health. So Lori's been kind enough to offer to do that report.
Certainly, I'll try to be brief. We've covered quite a bit. And
Madam Chairman, before you move on, this other committee, you had this $49,000 grant. Does the board need to take action on that?
It was under the Budget Committee recommendations.
Okay.
There was information to the public safety, but action requested under the budget.
I got you.
Great. So the Smyth County Budget Committee meeting met on Friday, November 6th at 11 a.m. In attendance with myself, Mr. Atkins, and Ms. Wyant. The first item that we discussed was 3 budget amendment requests from the school board. The first item is the Governor's Emergency Education Relief Fund. These funds were provided to the school system to purchase backpack foggers, mobile hotspots for students who need them and have cell coverage at home, and water bottle fill stations for every school. This fund is $227,625. Do we need to do these individually or all in one?
Well, there's, it'll be since it exceeds the 1%, the action will be the public hearing.
Okay, all right. The second item is coronavirus relief funds. These funds were provided by the governor and had the same spending deadline as the county's CARES Act funding, which is spent by December 30th. The superintendent is recommending the purchase of buses, Chromebooks for teachers, and miscellaneous reimbursements for costs incurred last school year. The amount of CRF funds is $709,170. Third item is Smyth County CARES Act funds. Following their anticipated action to approve their budget on November 9th, we will need to formally appropriate the county's contribution, $776,157 into Fund 009. The school board's budget committee has approved the request and will be presented to the school board at their meeting on Monday, November 9th for consideration, which I'm assuming
They subsequently approved.
they
Yes, ma'am.
approved that unanimously. Also, Mr. Upp presented information on emergency management grant, which I discussed in the previous conversation, for additional CARES Act funds for broadband. The VDEM grant is for an additional $49,804 and will need to be included in the budget prior to moving forward. Again, it is a local match that is required for that. The governor announced an investment into broadband networks statewide, and the county received 2 local requests. One of those coming from Point Broadband to provide additional service in the Rich Valley area, and one from SmythNet to provide upgrades to the backbone of their services, which would increase their service capabilities for an additional 1,024 customers. No county funds will be required for any of these requests.
Lori,
Yes.
may I ask, I noticed with Point Broadband, there's a match required, and for SmythNet, there isn't, just for my own personal information.
I'll answer that. It wasn't required, but Point Broadband decided to provide some, basically it's their in-kind, they're going to be installing it themselves for both of them. So it's not necessarily cash out, but they're, it's costs.
Okay.
It's their match, not our match.
Okay,
If that
thanks.
clarifies that.
That's
Sure. No, That's a
great.
great question.
Thank you.
So you can see in the chart there the 2 applications from Point Broadband. And
Well, it'd be great to get that service, especially like Rich Valley, and then SmythNet. Is there anything coming to Sugar Grove?
They're still working on that over there. The piece of property they were going to put it on, they ran into an issue
Right.
because of a conservation easement. So
Yeah.
they're still working diligently to get service to that community.
Good.
So the total budget amendment will be in the amount of $2,141,948. A motion was made by myself to set up a public hearing at the November board meeting for December 8th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. for proposed budget amendments. And this motion was seconded by Rural Oak Supervisor Judy Lant, and it was unanimously approved. So that is a budget, or that is a committee recommendation.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? It passes unanimously.
The next item we discussed, Mr. Upp presented information from the Commissioner of Revenue's office regarding properties that have qualified for Enterprise Zone program and related incentives. At the September 8th board meeting, the board voted to approve Mountain View Properties and Richards Commercial Properties. The Commissioner is requesting to add in Royal Oak Real Estate LLC to the list. The value of the increase in assessment is $8,867.69, which is the amount requested to be exonerated for the Enterprise Zone program. A motion was made by myself to approve the Enterprise Zone program request and seconded by Royal Oak Supervisor Judy Wyatt, and it was approved unanimously, and that is a committee recommendation.
And to note here, this is the property across from like Food City. And the value of that property has increased greatly, so the revenue and taxes in the future will be greatly increased, so. Okay, a committee recommendation, all in favor? The motion passes.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
May we take a 10-minute break, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
10-minute break. We'll recess for 10 minutes.